One of the upsets of the week, the Bears shocked the 49ers at Soldier Field. And it was
Sorry, man.
underwhelming game by Trey Lance, I can say. A lot of people have said, how can Justin Fields outduel you when you obviously have more support around you? Speaking about Trey Lance, and this comes into question. Do you think Trey Lance is ready to start? And had Jimmy Garoppolo been out there, is this outcome different? What do you think, Riv?
You got to say yeah, because Jimmy G has the experience, because he's been in the league for a long time, and because it's really just experience. I think Trey Lance, when he played in that game, like if you watch the game back, he missed a couple throws. It was the weather did, I was trolling Dehls the other day because it was just funny because they lost, but the weather did affect both teams. It affected both quarterbacks. Both quarterbacks are young, promising quarterbacks, but that weather, they're not comfortable in playing that weather, and it was a tough day for them. But I think ultimately, like the same way how we talked about the Colts, same way how we talked about Denver, if both teams are affected by a weather and you're the more talented team, you got to come out with that win no matter what. I think Trey Lance didn't get blitzed one time that game, not once. So I think you got to come out with that win. But Jimmy G, I think definitely at that point gets you the win just because of the experience factor and the fact that Lance is not comfortable playing in that type of bad weather. But I think Lance should still start. I think this is his team. You have to make it certain that it is his team. You can't just sit him after one game. You can't knock his confidence. You have to let him play out. You drafted this guy to be your franchise quarterback. You drafted this guy to save your franchise. Okay, now give him the trust that you want to give him. Let him play. Let him get his feet wet. And this is one of the first games that get your feet wet, and he played bad, and it happens.
Literally,
one could say he got his feet too wet, to be honest with you. The weather is 100% the reason why I'm looking at this game, taking it, crumbling it, throwing it in the trash. You can't evaluate Trey Lance off this performance. You can overreact to it. You could be hypercritical of him because, of course, you didn't get the win that you should have probably got against an inferior team in the Chicago Bears. That being said, evaluate him as a talent when you really can't sit and make throws off your set throws. You can't really throw the football as accurate as you want to. Trey Lance, who already isn't the most accurate quarterback, you add that extra element where now the rain is just even more of a factor to the game. I can't sit here and blame Trey Lance for this. I can think that as a team, they shouldn't have lost this game. You could look at the defense and think, man, how did you give up as many points as you did? I mean, of course, it's only 19, but even still, this Niners defense is supposed to be one of the best in the league. Trey Lance, I would have loved for him to come out here and play better, but at the same time, the weather it was not written in the cards. For him to make his first opening day start and for this to be the weather that he played in, it's more unfortunate than anything. But I'm looking forward to week 2. I'm looking forward to week 3 where he goes up against my Broncos in Mile High. These are going to be games where we actually can sit and evaluate Trey Lance, the talent. But you can't evaluate anything off this game.
It was really tough, like you said, to evaluate anything. Right when Red Zone started and they panned to, or whatever, we were watching ESPN, and you see the field at Soldier Field is insane.
It was pissing.
It was only like in the fourth quarter, though.
I know. Before we really get into it, 2 things. One, I don't have many takeaways from this game because of the weather. And number 2, it was one of the weirdest games/outcomes because this didn't turn into 49ers versus Bears. This turned into Trey Lance versus Justin Fields. And it was one of the first times in my life where I didn't think either quarterback played particularly well. Given the weather was terrible, which is why I don't think either of them played well. Now, Justin Fields, to his credit, made more plays. He had a beautiful play where he rolled out to the left side.
That throw was sexy.
On the left hash, through the right side of the field, a perfect ball. And while given, he was wide open to throw a ball like that in that type of weather where you could barely even grip the ball. I mean, there's throws where Justin Fields can't do a screen pass because he can't grip the ball.
Yep.
The weather was insane. So I don't have many takeaways from Trey Lance / Justin Fields. Fields made a couple extra plays. He got the 2 touchdowns. That's how they ultimately won the game. The 49ers were sloppy. 12 penalties for 99 yards. Elijah Mitchell goes down in the first half of the game. Kittle gets ruled out earlier in the week as well. The offensive line played poor. Credit to the Bears. The Bears had 16 pressures. They played phenomenal. Their defensive line manhandled the offensive line, the 49ers. Not something we were really expecting. And to your credit, you said it was really coming down in the fourth quarter. In the third quarter, Lance was 7 for 12 for 123 yards. What was it? 7 for 12 for 112 yards halfway through the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, once they went down and it was downpouring and he had to throw, that's when he really struggled. It was at one point where Fox had to put like they had to edit the TV so you could see the yard line. I mean, the weather was ridiculous. I thought Trey Lance made a couple nice throws. He had to play Juwan Jennings on the left side of the field where it was a beautiful ball over right in the breadbasket. A couple plays to Ayuk as well. But overall, as much as excited I was to watch Trey Lance play, he didn't do anything that's going to blow you away. But I'm chalking it up to the weather. Give him a month. Let's see what he has. I'm excited to see next week who they play. They don't play a great opponent. I don't remember who they play off the top of my head.
Denver, right?
No, they play him in week 3.
I got it.
But yeah, this is his 3rd career start in a monsoon. I'm not overreacting.
Play
to it.
Seahawks. It definitely could be an easy
divisional game.
Shout out to Chicago, man.
Shout out because
They was prepared.
yeah, because everyone, us included, were shitting on them, saying they had one of the worst rushes in the league. I
They
think
still are.
They still are. I
Undoubtedly.
think you kind of trolled, said congrats on your first and only win of the year. If they want to win, they got to win ugly. I mean, Justin Fields is going to have some games, but he's going to have some games where he struggles as well, and the defense is going to have to pick him up.
For this to be the way it did with Darnell Mooney being basically a
Nothing.
non-factor, Cole Kmet basically being a non-factor.
I mean, he had 8 completions.
yeah, that's facts.
We are going to be giving away NBA 2K23 Legendary Editions to a couple of you guys, and all you have to do is sign up for Boom Fantasy, deposit $10, which is you're putting in $10 to get a $150 game. On top of that, you play Boom, you can double your money with your deposit. So you can make money
40 times with long
40
shots?
times.
So if you want to join in the giveaway, then sign up for Boom. The link is in our bio.
But ensure that you guys make that $10 deposit. That's the only way that you gain entrance into this raffle.
And based on who wins, you guys tell us what version you want, the Legendary one, Dreamers Edition, which console, or you want it for PC. It's up to you. But I think that's a great deal.
Maybe we'll go on live on
that'd
TikTok
be
for the first
fantastic.
time.
And NBA 2K23, I heard it's
great.
I heard it's looking great.
Riv, confirm, deny?
Fire.
That's tough.
Just make sure you use our link, because if you don't use our link, we don't know that's where you're coming from. We don't know
Correct.
you're coming from. Pick a side.
Link in the description.
Link description
Link
or the
in the
bio.
description.
I'm going to be honest. If Jimmy Garoppolo is playing in this game, the Niners don't win still. I don't think they win. I think Trey Lance extended a lot of drives with his legs that led to first downs, and that's the same situation. Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't do that. But nonetheless, I thought Trey Lance and Justin Fields both weren't good in this game. I thought Trey Lance, he missed a lot of throws. He was inaccurate, very inaccurate on a lot of short passes. On passes that were 10 yards or further, he was actually pretty accurate. It's just those easy completions that Trey Lance just misses. And Justin Fields, I understand he had those 2 highlight plays, but when you look at what happened in those plays and you look at the film, they weren't very impressive. I mean, Justin Fields...
The rollout was very impressive.
No, the rollout was sexy, dude.
To make a throw in that weather,
that play
honestly,
was hot.
That play, when that play happened, he was 4 for 10, 22 yards, 1 interception.
it was the end of the half, right? End of the first
It
half.
was in the third quarter.
Third quarter.
Okay.
Before that play, Justin Fields threw an interception to Sean Gibson that was dropped. He didn't make the play, but he threw it right to him. The very next play was the rollout. And, okay, was escaping the pocket good? Yes. Was the pass, overwhelmingly amazing? I mean,
If
he
it wasn't
wide
pissing
open.
out where you cannot grip the ball, I would agree with
Any
you.
quarterback makes that. Any NFL quarterback makes that. That's
cap.
He
Bro,
makes that.
There was
makes
plays.
that.
There was plays.
Any
Justin
NFL
Fields.
quarterback
Justin.
makes that pass.
There was
Cap.
plays for
That's
both
not cap.
quarterbacks.
Any NFL quarterback?
Geno Smith makes that pass.
No,
See,
he does
the only-
not.
Yes, he
bro.
does.
All right, see-
he made passes Justin Fields couldn't make
No,
on Monday night.
Yeah, and
But
look at the
what-
weather on Monday night, and then look at the Bears game weather.
But I don't
Stop.
understand what's the point of saying a statement like that. Why can't we just acknowledge that it was a
was a
really
great
nice play and that's it? There's no reason to throw a stone at that.
Because I think 2 of Justin Fields' biggest plays were blown coverages. And is his fault? No. He took
he
advantage of that.
extended the play. If anything, he's the reason why it happened.
You got to give
No,
him credit
he's
for
not
not
the-
looking to run.
Absolutely.
He went out and he kept his eyes down
He's
the
not
field.
the
and he
reason
found
why
him.
the defense blew that coverage.
Is he not the reason they scored a touchdown?
I'm so confused.
He's not the reason the defense blew that coverage. Dante Pettis was wide open because the Niners had a mislaps. That's why.
Regardless of Justin Fields to still be composed in that moment, not think, let me run and scramble. Oh, no, I have a guy 30, 40 yards down the field. I think you got to give credit where credit is due. I don't.
Look, it's a fine play, but am I looking at that play and saying, oh, that's the reason why Justin Fields played better than Trey Lance?
No, I'm
It's
with you.
not.
I'm with you.
And even on the touchdown of Equanimeous St. Brown, it was a blown coverage too.
No, I think you're not.
Talanoa
It was a perfect ball.
Talanoa Hufanga had a pick between two crossers. Two guys were open. It was a blown coverage.
If the weather wasn't like god awful, might be the worst weather game of the season, then I would agree with you. But bro, like
he's in year 2.
You couldn't see the field.
The weather was
he completed
shit.
less than 50% of his passes.
I know. I'm not saying he wasn't great because they attempted 16 passes. You could not pass the ball in that weather.
You were the guy who on Sunday were saying, why are football players the only people that have to play in extreme weather conditions? Take that into account and give them praise for.
And look at the people he was on the field
with.
with. Look who he's throwing the ball to.
They were open.
But he's still making the plays. Like, yeah,
I mean,
you're
telling me like, look at who he's throwing the ball to.
Hey, I wasn't saying.
I understand that if they're not getting open, I mean, they were blown coverages.
I mean, even if they were blown, because you still have to make that pass in the rain.
It's a fact.
You couldn't see
I
the
thought
TV.
I thought both passes were fine.
During those plays, the weather was not that bad.
The weather was bad
Bro,
all
you see
game.
him
It just
running,
was, it
and
got
the
worse
puddles
in the
are
fourth
coming
quarter.
up. Like,
Nah,
if you went to the ground,
The weather was bad all game.
The screen started to get foggy, like towards the end of the
No, the
fourth
fourth quarter was
pissing the
horrible,
whole
but the
game.
weather was bad all the game.
Justin Fields, the Bears scored a touchdown on their first 3 drives of the second half. The weather at that time was not pissing.
But still,
but it was bad,
not
though.
puddly.
Yes, it was, bro. You literally see every step they make, puddles come up. Every time someone hits the ground, they go sliding 15
Trey Lance's
yards.
first series, he was hitting on puddles, bro.
The one thing I
day.
would say about Lance that he needs to fix, he cannot get hit like this every single time.
That was a
he was their
wild
leading
day.
rusher last on Sunday, but every single time he had the ball, he got hit. He has to learn to slide because this might last for a few games, but if you want to have a long career in the NFL, you cannot take these hits from fucking Roquan Smith. Like, you're not going to last.
This does not look like a puddle, bro. This was the play before when it was a near interception. This was the play before. That's not a puddle. That's still, like, it's not ideal conditions, but it wasn't
Field was
pissing
shit,
outside.
bro. The ball was wet.
I understand, but he was wearing gloves.
The gloves were wet.
Yeah, but the gloves have more grip than your hand.
Everything's...
So it was raining 4 hours before kickoff.
It started pissing poor rain, like towards the end of the fourth quarter on Lance's like final 2 drives. That's where it started.
Even in the first quarter,
Where, like,
Chicago's an all dirt field too, correct?
probably.
believe so.
Yeah.
So that also
the field
plays
is
a negative.
the field
It's
is
garbage.
disgusting. I'm not taking it.
It's
I'm
really
not
one of
taking
the
away
worst
from that. I'm
fields
just
in the league.
saying I didn't
could
come
do
away
worse.
from this game impressed by either quarterback.
Oh, I'm with you.
I didn't
I'm
come
with
away
you.
from this game from just feels like, oh, those 2 plays were otherworldly. Like they were good, but they were broken. They were bust coverages.
But they were
a great play by a year 2 player.
The
bro.
only game that I came away from saying, my goodness, from a second-year quarterback was Trevor Lawrence versus Washington. I watched that game and I said, my goodness, he is next level. Trevor Lawrence is next level. He had multiple touchdowns dropped. I know he had that interception in the last drive, but
ETN dropped an
Trevor
easy one.
Lawrence was otherworldly.
He was great.
That's the only performance that I came away with saying, like, oh my gosh, this guy.
Who do you think steps up for running back? Elijah Mitchell's out 2 months. You got Jeff Wilson, Elijah Mitchell. Jeff Wilson's back there. Tyrion Davis-Price.
I think Jeff Wilson, he had 9 carries, 22 yards. The running game really stalled after Elijah Mitchell went out. I think, Price probably.
Elijah was cooking.
Price was a healthy scratch too.
Yeah, I don't know.
If I had to say, I'd probably say Jeff Wilson because he's had the longevity on this team. Yes, he had a couple injuries here and there, but when he's been healthy, he sees burn. I think the Niners trust him more than anyone else right now.
I will say I was impressed by the 49ers and Bears game, but with particular players. Like with the Bears, it was Dominique Robinson, their rookie edge rusher. I thought against Mike McGlinchey, Trent Williams, he was phenomenal. Jaquan Brisker, I think, made some plays. But honestly, in that game, the standout for me was Talanoa Hufanga. Talanoa Hufanga was everywhere.
He was.
I mean, 11 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 4 run stops, which is the most of any defender this past Sunday, this past week 1. 1 pass defended. The only miscue was on the broken play touchdown, but he didn't have a choice. He had to pick a crosser. He was stuck. Fields looked him off, so I give some credit, but it really was pick your poison. He couldn't really choose a right decision at that point. And I'm not going to lie, like this guy, watching him, he came out of USC. I watched him, and in that game yesterday, I was like, this guy looks like Troy Polamalu. Like he was next level. He is next level, and I think that's why. I think that's why the Niners moved on from Jaquiski Tartt, because I think Talanoa Hufanga, when Jimmy Ward comes back, that's going to be one of the best safety duos in football, no doubt.